So welcome to Virtual Creation Studios here in Charlottetown Prince Edward Island. Today we've got two very great guests for the Treinfhir Family reunion. This is going to be the third one. The first two we took place in Ireland in Monaghan County, but this year we're going to, or not this year, but in 2024, it's going to be in Prince Edward Island, the most beautiful place other than Ireland anywhere in the world. So with me, all the way from Maine, is Ted Treynor, probably the second most historical representative of the Treinfhir family anywhere in the world, and Kevin Treynor, who's going to be the chairperson of the committee for the 2024 family reunion. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you very much.
Great to be here. My first trip to Prince Edward Island.
And my understanding is you broke into the Basilica Church.
Oh, we did. We did. Well, we got quite a tour. That's quite
we
a
did.
That's
We had an
place.
amazing
That's pretty.
tour.
Nobody gets to see that. Like,
Oh, wow.
Nobody.
Well, that was very nice. Michelle took
Yes,
us
it was.
around.
It was Michelle,
We're really
and,
grateful to Michelle.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Thank you very much. I can't tell you. We did get a tour from her of the Basilica, and I'm from here, so this is the very first time that I had an actual tour. The Basilica was wonderful.
I've never. So that's fine. Just cut me out. That's fine.
Okay, well, we'll
There's
try it
more
every
underground than there is in the main basilica when you come in. There's a whole other.
Maybe the catacombs or something.
Well, there was a
No,
whole
it's
other
another chapel
whole other
downstairs.
church
Oh, wow.
downstairs. Yeah.
So Ted Treynor, tell me about why you got involved in historical Treynor folklore.
Well, it was.
Well, not folklore. It's
Yeah, so my name's slightly different than the folks here, but
how do you spell your last name?
Ainer,
Ear. Okay.
and that there's 35 different ways to spell Trainer, and they're all correct.
Oh,
And so it doesn't make a difference what the spelling; we're all the same.
we're going to put the logo up, the one that we did for the thing. It's going to be right up here. Some of the Treynor spellings, and we've got quite a few of them already. So.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so any combination of vowels you want, it works.
Yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I grew up thinking my first ancestor came over in 1760 to Pennsylvania, to a Quaker colony in Pennsylvania, but his son changed the spelling of his name and his religion, and the son after that said changed the country of origin. So for the last 4 generations, we thought we were English people,
really?
and the Irish, we were English Protestants, and that was all we ever knew. And so it was quite accidentally in about 7 years ago, someone sent me anonymously a genealogy, and it said the original David Treynor came from Cootehill, Ireland.
Oh, wow.
And we said, whoa, what's that? And so Leslie and I, my wife, we got on an airplane shortly thereafter and flew over there and went into Cootehill, Ireland, and went into a pub and said, hey, we're Treynor. Any trainers around? And they said, yeah, there are a few here, but they're mostly up in next door in this County Monaghan.
Wow.
So we said, oh, that's interesting. So we got in our car and drove into County Monaghan, and first thing we see is Treynor Guest House, and we go into a butcher shop, and there's Mike Treynor, and we go into a coffee shop, and there's Sharon Treynor, and it blew our mind.
Wow.
And so then we, in that same couple of days, we met John Treynor in Drumdart, which is sort of the spiritual.
Well, Kevin and I were at John's place.
John's
It was a cottage, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
They
Great
call him
storyteller.
Yankee John, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yankee John Treynor?
Yankee John.
Yeah, that's
Yankee
his name,
John.
Yankee
There's
John.
just so
An
many trainers up there,
amazing
they all
guy.
have nicknames.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my understanding now is that there's 6 kind of brothers or 6 divisions of the Treynors.
So far, we're doing a large DNA project, and the more of you can get into this, the better, because we want to build a database. That so far has taken us back to apparently a single person in the year 1300.
Oh, wow.
Who apparently, according to had 6 sons. Yeah. And so far they've put all of us who've had the DNA so far into one of those slots.
Oh, okay.
I think personally that's an amazing story that we can trace our ancestors back to 1300s.
That's the DNA goes back.
Yeah, and that's amazing that, and we can all understand that anybody with the last name Traynor, or if you're married into a Traynor, we're all related.
Yeah.
And when Paul and I went to Monaghan for the gathering of 2022, and the amount of trainers that we met worldwide were amazing, and that's the reason why I became chairperson of the 2024 committee, and
So-
to meet Ted was amazing because I've met him online many times. It's the first time I've met you in person. It's amazing.
Well, it was really people in Ireland. So we came back, Leslie and I, and having met some trainers and said, what is this? They're trainers in Ireland, and they spell a little differently, but, we appear to be related.
Yeah.
And so we came home, and Kenny Bunk, Maine, said, hey, I'll start a Facebook group and see how many trainers are out there. And so I start up a Facebook group, and a day later I get a call from this Noel trainer in Dublin. And he says, well, I see this, and he tells me on that call the original trainer, who goes back to St. Patrick. And he tells me this whole story, which blew my mind. I said, this is incredible, and that was 2015.
Well, just so their audience can get this is a crazy, crazy story. I've heard some crazy stories, but I'm going to let you, Kevin. We're going to let him tell the story.
Oh, absolutely! It's an amazing
it's
story.
Something. So it goes back to St. Patrick, and Treynor wasn't exactly a name as it was an occupation. So I'm going to just leave it at that. We're going to let the master speak, but give us the story and. We got all the time in the world.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. It's blown all of us who have heard it, but it's in the literature, so it's a true story. And that St. Patrick, when he was sent into Ireland to bring the Christianity, the way he went about it was he'd go from little kingdom to little kingdom.
Yeah.
And he'd go in the kingdom and he'd introduce himself, and he'd convert the king, who then would convert all his people. And the king could be just the king of the hill, or he could be a bigger king, dependent. And then he'd ask for one of the king's retainers to go with him to the next place as sort of a letter of introduction. And so he was at the king of the Kelly family in Roscommon, Ireland, and he converted the king Kelly in this area, and that he wanted to go in the next place, and he needed someone to go with him. And so this young man named McCartan, Aidan McCartan, who at that point was married and had a couple of kids.
He did, yes.
He said, I will go with you to the next place.
Yeah.
And so Aidan McCartan and St. Patrick and maybe a couple went off to the next place, and it turned out that Aidan McCartan stayed with St. Patrick and didn't go back to his family in Roscommon, and stayed with him. And this was towards the end of St. Patrick's life. And so in stories was that this young man, McCartan, was helpful to St. Patrick in helping him get around when he got older. And there's pictures in stained glass windows in the churches in Ireland of him carrying St. Patrick over a stream.
Wow.
And so St. Patrick said, well, you're my trainer. In Gaelic, it's got many more letters. But you're my trainer. Trainer means strong arm. And so you're my strong arm to Trainer. And so that's where the trainer came from. And so then time passed, and St. Patrick had a habit when he converts somebody, he would then set up a diocese. And that he would, one of his faithful people, he'd say, okay, you found this diocese. And so time passed, and towards the end of Patrick's life, and this is a true story, apparently Trainer said, well, I've been helping you along here for a while, but you haven't given me a monastery yet. And so...
What's in it for me?
Yeah, what's in it for me? I've been doing all this for you,
Yeah.
So what's with this? And so Patrick said, fine, you go over here, and this is an area, it's called Clogher Diocese. It covers now a part of northern County Monaghan and County Tyrone and Fermanagh. Fermanagh, I guess that was more properly pronounced, in Northern Ireland today. And he said, okay, we'll give you that, and you set up the monastery there. These days, they would call that person who set it up a bishop. So then this Trainer, full name is Aidan McCartan, became the first bishop of this diocese. St. Patrick died in 456, and Trainer McCartan remained a bishop there for 50 years.
Wow.
Died in 506. And that was the first Trainer. Later, the Roman Catholics came in, and 400 and 500 years later to Ireland, and took away all of the system that St. Patrick had set up and put in the Roman Catholic system, and they made saints of all these original people. So Aidan McCartan became Saint McCartan.
Wow.
and legitimately, and I've read the story about that, and there are now 4 St. McCartan cathedrals in Ireland. 2 are Church of Ireland and 2 are Roman Catholic.
Wow. So the church that's in Monaghan County that we toured,
The big one.
that's one of them.
That's one of the 4. It's the newest one.
Oh, really?
Because the Catholic Church was outlawed in Ireland for several hundred years, and so they weren't allowed to build them. And so only in the late 19th century were Roman Catholic churches able to be built again, and that was built in the end of the 19th century.
Wow. You have to see this church. It's absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, it's I was in it. Paul and I were both in it. It certainly is bigger than our churches for sure. You had mentioned something about the reason that they were saints is to hold them. Like, they became saints as a way of keeping them within the Roman Catholicism. And how did Saint Traynor, if you will, become a saint? This is an interesting story as well.
Well, to become a saint in the Roman Catholic faith, you need to have a miracle.
2 miracles.
Is it 2?
I think it's 2.
Maybe in the 13th century.
Maybe it was
only
1. They probably just to get you in the door.
Heard of the one, but the and it's a good one, and it's deeply rooted in an event that occurred that's in the literature.
Right.
It might not have been exactly that event, but the event that is the miracle event was deeply known and loved by the people at the time, and they just merely made it a miracle event. And it was basically that Treynor was going with St. Patrick, and they went into one of these kingdoms, and the king was hostile to St. Patrick.
Right.
And
Want
so,
any part of them?
yeah, he said, no way, and he sent his son out to tell this guy, Patrick, and his follower, that you can't come into my kingdom. And so the son went out, and he said to St. Patrick, you can't, at that point he wasn't a saint, so you can't come into my kingdom. And Patrick did something that changed the boy's mind, and he said, okay, I can see you're special, and invited him into the kingdom, at which point his father was very angry that his son let this person in, and was so angry that Patrick was there and the son let him in. He took his great sword and was going to whack St. Patrick's head.
Right.
And that Traynor put his hand on the shoulder of
Froze
that king and froze it.
Oh, okay. There's the miracle.
It was a miracle.
There's
And
a
that the king dropped the sword and said, okay, I see something here, and he became a follower.
Wow.
That's the story.
Well, it's kind of interesting to know that the original Traynor that we all go back to is in fact a saint.
Yeah, so
Which
he is the saint.
Yeah, he is a saint. So
So there's hope for you yet, Kevin. Is that what you're trying to say?
probably not for me.
No, it's all good.
It took
Ask me,
quite-
mother,
It
I'm a
took quite a
saint
while
now.
to get down to making him a saint, because they had to start with Patrick.
Yeah.
And then they worked their
their
way
way
down, and by the time they got to these original fellows who were not major players in the game, but it was 200 or 300 years later they got around to that. So
That's pretty cool, though. So you were saying that there was 6 sons. No, would it be 6 sons of that man, or
that's the DNA has said it, and the DNA and the genealogy is hard to find, because
Yeah.
the records in most of the records in Ireland
Yeah.
have been destroyed. It's
Destroyed, yeah.
1923,
Yeah.
I think it was, and they're resurrecting them.
They are. I don't
Yeah,
know how
yeah.
far along they are, but I know one thing: they are in fact resurrecting.
And they
them.
are, and they're going to hopefully have even some bits of carbon that were blown when they blew
Yeah.
up the custom house.
That's right.
They're putting this back together. But for the moment, you can't get much genealogical information before 1811. So it's hard to get genealogy going way back. But the DNA project we have has identified a common ancestor that everybody goes back to, who lived around 1300. And then out of that, there are 6 strains out of that one person that are separate but
Yeah.
related to that one person. So you could say it was a father and 6 sons.
Yeah.
It, most likely that, but it's a DNA
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
Okay.
There-
And do we
There's
know the
6
6
individuals.
Do we know the 6 names? There was
Well, I know that we are role trainers,
Role.
and David is right here. David, he's operating the.
he's
camera.
operating the
Right,
camera.
David?
He's a
Yeah.
cameraman.
And David, as far as I understand, David, you're Murphy.
Morris.
Morse. I'm
He's a
sorry.
Morse. So
yeah.
that's a nickname because the person running the DNA project, John Treanor, has artificially named those 6 people by Greek alphabet Alpha, Beta, something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm an Amen, which is E, in my little group. And my little group's kind of small. Some other groups are bigger. But we all come back to that. And so that's the DNA. So we know that the trainers go back 800 years before that.
Yeah.
And so part of the DNA is to try to work back to that.
Yes.
That's really amazing, actually. That
We all carry the original Celtic gene.
Yes.
Now, just a note too, we'll be putting some links down on the bottom we already have them on the website as well, but we'll have some links to the Facebook page, the international Facebook page, and a couple of other ones if you want to do some research. But more importantly, if you have any stories or any information or anything like that, feel free to share it with us. We love to hear that stuff, and it really is vital because this stuff, as we get older, it doesn't stick around as long. So if we can get more of that information in, it's really, really great. So we'd appreciate. But bear in mind, we will be putting the links right down on the bottom. So anyways, so the big thing is happening in 2024.
Yes.
So
June 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
So the first two were in Monaghan County. My understanding was the first one was a success, the second one was more of a success, and the third one should be a great success.
That's right.
Yeah. So we had, how many people show up for the second one? Was like 300, 350?
Well, it was a little bit less than that. The COVID dropped it back.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But so it was 200 and something.
Yeah. It's a great turnout, though,
yeah.
all over the world. It was really amazing.
There was people from literally all over the world.
Yeah.
Literally,
The trainers live all over the world, more particularly in the former English colonies.
Yeah. Well, you're from Maine, and
Yeah.
So, and you've got your people.
So
if you
with
will.
the American former colony, and so at the then they're in Australia, New Zealand, and there's one marvelous strain in Spain.
Spain.
So one of the Irish boys went to Spain, Tommy Trainer, and did very well in business, to say the least. And so when they wanted to put on a World's Fair in 1910 in Spain, this particular trainer financed the entire thing.
Wow.
In Spain. And so in grateful appreciation of the Spanish government, and it named his family the Marquis of Valencia. It's in the city of Valencia. And so their trainer, the current trainer, is the Marquis of Valencia.
Oh.
Yeah, and so we're hoping after P.E.I. will be there. And so that's a special kind of arrangement. That boy did well in business.
That's good.
We'll
Kevin's kind of a marquee of something.
yes, Marky. The thing in when I went to Ireland, I've often said to everybody in the international community that I considered it to be life altering. It's and that's how I became chairperson of this here. But Ireland is where we came from, and the reason we're doing it this year or in 2024 is because a lot of the people, this is where they came to. They landed to Prince Edward Island and then emigrated on to the rest of Canada or the rest of the United States or wherever. But Prince Edward Island was a huge Irish
Hub, yeah.
hub. It really was. Like, if you look at Fort Augustus, where I'm from, Fort Augustus is twinned with County Monaghan, and Fort Augustus is now County Monaghan, so which is in Ireland because a lot of the Irish descendants came to here, and I think that's the reason why we have such an interest in coming to Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island is interesting enough, but when I personally landed in Ireland, I had very much of a feeling of coming home because I personally believe the thread of your ancestors is still there in your heart. So I felt like, especially when I come to John's, and Paul was another one, when we landed at Yankee John's place, it was just, for me, it was amazing. It was like a feeling of coming home because that was not very far from where Owen's, my ancestors all the way back 6 generations. He was there. So it's my feeling when people come here, the thread is still going to be the same. People who are in Alberta or people in New Brunswick or Maine or Pennsylvania and stuff that landed here, the thread and feeling is going to be a little bit like coming home. And that's part of the reason why I think it's very exciting that it's going to be in Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, we're gonna set up a little bit of a video, kind of a promo, what to expect when you come to Prince Edward Island. We'll be putting it right here. But maybe Kevin, you can take 2 seconds and say, what are people going to be able to do when they get here with the KLE or with the gathering rather in 2024? Will it be golf? Will there be what are we doing?
Well, right now, the only thing we have in stone is we're going to be having Ted, if he would, to have an information session on where we came from and where we've come. I know we're going to have a ceilidh, and if you don't understand what a ceilidh is a big, huge kitchen party. It's amazing. That's what it is. Like we sing a few songs, people get up to the mic, they tell stories. That's good. We're going to have a thing called an American Wake. Over there, they had the American Wake, and that there is when you left Ireland, you were very much never going to see these families again. So they had an Irish Wake, and I think we're going to have that. If you come to Prince Edward Island, a lot of people have expressed interest in going to a beach because we have beautiful beaches here. Part of coming to Prince Edward Island is the beauty of it. I think we're going to be going to a beach. And, of course, we'll have dinners set up and such.
Yeah, so like I say, we definitely invite all the trainers from around the world to come to Prince Edward Island in 2024. If you've gone to Ireland last year or the year in the 2 years before that, one of the things that stood out for me was the green. It's just like the 10,000 shades of green, and I'm not. When I say that, I'm not lying. I mean, it literally is. Prince Edward Island is maybe 5,000 shades of green. So we got a lot of green, but not like Ireland. But what you will come, especially those that are going to be coming from Ireland, you will feel that you're kind of home, and it's pretty amazing. So.
But in old Ireland they call it Sweet Rally. 'Twas there I spent my childhood days around those hills with Lee, till poverty came over me, I am sorry to relate. And like many's another true Irish boy, I was forced to emigrate. We are sailing away from old Ireland, we're leaving the Shamrock shore. We are crossing the foam from our Irish home, it's a land that we all adore. We have Irish hearts and willing hands to toil both night and day, but we'll never forget the kind friends that we left in old Ireland far away. The reason that we sailed away, I mean to let you know, driven far from our land for taking a stand against the British foe. The weather been bad and our hearts were sad, and the crops were on the field. To better our lot we sold our cod in dear old Granuaile. We are sailing away from old Ireland, we're leaving the Shamrock shore. We are crossing the foam from our Irish home, it's a land that we all adore. We have Irish hearts and willing hands to toil both night and day, but we'll never forget the kind friends that we left in old Ireland far away. Supposing we return again to the honest days of yore, the boys and girls, they'll meet us there and they'll greet us with a smile. Our as he played in days of yore. Sure we'll dance a jig and an Irish reel upon the cabin floor. We are sailing away from old Ireland, we're leaving the Shamrock shore. We are crossing the foam from our Irish home, it's a land that we all adore. We have Irish hearts and willing hands to toil both night and day, but we'll never forget the kind friends that we left in old Ireland far away.
Very well. You were also saying, Ted, that there's a young man that's putting together kind of a book, if you
Well,
will.
it's an audio book. But so the first thing I want to say about P.E.I. P.E.I. is of great interest not only to the immigrants from Ireland who came here and moved on, and they're now all over Canada and the U.S. And even our guy didn't come here, but I have DNA connections to people that did, including an Owen Trainer.
Wow. That's where
I know that. Yeah. So and that there's also a great interest of the people in Ireland, because so many from our homeland in County Monaghan, from Emmy Vale,
Yes.
Kelly's Cross, and came here, and so the people currently in Ireland have a lot of ancestors who came to P.E.I.
Yes,
So the
absolutely.
people in Ireland are very interested in P.E.I. too, because that's where their people came, and they never saw them, because once they left, they're
Well,
gone.
they're gone forever.
And so there's interest in two sides. And the stories of the emigration, of the stories of people that came and how they set up here, and then some moved on, is a tale that we all want to hear.
Yeah.
And understand it, because it'll be like a second home to a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's-
So
and-
that
Great.
the other part of this is we're building connections,
Yes.
whether they're on the iPhone or what. There's a lot of trainers still on this island, and that we were at breakfast this morning in the hotel at the Great George Hotel and introduced ourselves to someone standing in, and he said, "Yeah, I've got two trainer friends, and there was somebody's in trucking business and someone else," and I said, "Wow, everybody, there's a lot of trainers here."
There's a lot of
And
trainers
so
here.
what we're trying to do is build this connections that we're all, wherever we live, we're all part of the family.
Exactly.
So my family is scattered all over the place. We didn't think it had any connection with anybody that spelled their name differently, and that we didn't know each other. And we're trying to build. We are a global family,
100%.
and that's as much as for all the trainers here in P.E.I. to build that as part of the global family. Audio, one you mentioned, is a man named Noel Murphy, who was a young radio producer in Ireland from County Monaghan, and that we heard about him, and his grandmother or somebody was a trainer, and we said, "Hey, can you come in to our gathering?"
Right.
And that he came and made he interviewed a whole lot of people.
He interviewed me.
He interviewed, and he was just there, and all these interviews are all on our Trainer webpage.
Okay.
And we'd love to have podcasts from here on the Trainer webpage.
Oh, yeah.
also, right.
We're going to do lots of
Yeah.
these as we progress
Yeah.
up to 2024.
And so Noel Murphy got very interested in this trainer thing, because in County Monaghan there's other big families, the Duffys and the McKennas and the McMahons particularly, but no one has done anything quite like we're doing of building this
Yes,
global
expanded
family.
upon.
And so
yes.
this is a great interest in Monaghan. So Noel Murphy managed to get a European Union grant to the Trainer committee to chronicle and the development of this trainer movement.
Yeah.
And so he started with the gathering in Ireland this summer, and he went to Spain when a couple of our people, the two Noels so-called, went to Spain, and he's coming to we invited him to a week gathering that my direct family is doing in Pennsylvania in April, and he said, "Well, I would love to come with my European Union grant. Just to come over for a day in Pennsylvania isn't enough. It would be really wonderful to come to P.E.I. first and get a feel of people and
Yes.
talk to people, so that when he comes for the gathering, he'll be
Kind of
he'll
knowledgeable.
be knowledgeable. And so that's in the works.
Yes.
And eventually,
Yeah, I understood that, yeah.
they're still working on the details, but he's got this money to do it, and eventually that'll be part of the Treynor story, which also includes a book project.
On the last gathering that was just finalized, was just finished, but it was a Treynor book, just kind of the bedrock, I guess, of the Treinfhir family, and some of the history. I think what he's doing is kind of an expansion of this.
Yeah.
But
That's who we are today.
yeah, exactly.
Book's more about who
So
we-
we'll try to get that link to the book, the first book, and the book was named, I can't remember.
Shaking the Rowan Tree.
Shaking the Rowan Tree.
The
That's
rowan
right.
tree is the sacred tree of the Celts, and it's called ash in our part of the world, and that it was a sacred tree of the Druids and the Celts. And it so happens that Carton is the name of the rowan tree in the Gaelic, and so Carton, the original Trainer, was the son of the rowan tree.
Hence the reason for shaking of the Rowan
Shaking
Tree.
the rowan tree, shaking the tree with all the trainers on it.
I see.
That's where that
the
comes
leaves
from.
I thought it was the Joshua tree. That's what I
No,
thought.
the Joshua tree is another religious
Yeah,
content. But this here is the McCartan is the name of the mountain ash in Gaelic, I believe it is. And so that's the reason why the book is called The Shaking of the Rowan Tree, is because when you shake the tree, the leaves blow into the wind and they go all over. So they're shaking the rowan tree to try and bring the Treinfhir family together so that we're all knowledgeable about who we are, where we came from, and what our ancestry is. And that's the reason for the shaking of the rowan tree.
What a great name, man.
We've got some
Why don't I come up with these things? I just
Because he's smart.
Well,
No,
the
that's
trainers are full of very great creativity, and
They-
that name came up kind of fun. But that was the book we did last spring was a compilation of the first 3 annual volumes.
Yes.
So we're doing a digital volume each year. And so that there may be eventually 20 such volumes. Eventually that would come into a book along with the audio part.
Yeah,
We're thinking the whole story here. We
In-
don't know the whole story yet.
Oh, that'd be
But,
great to
but
have.
in the end of the day, after we've got 3 or 4 years or 4 or 5 years worth of this, we'll have an amazing compilation of the history of the Canadian or of the trainers, so that we know where we all came from. And with the DNA project, I believe you should get involved in the DNA project, because that will not only where you sit within the Treynor family. Like I said, we're Rowan. That there means red, right? And so you can tell by my beautiful red hair. But it's just a nickname. And
It's a nickname because there's so many trainers in the locality that you say your name is John Treynor and there's 20 other John
Oh, yeah.
Trainors, and so they have to know which
do.
one, and so you have nicknames based on recent events in your particular family line.
like in ours is Patrick is a fairly common name in our history. I mean, my grandfather's name was Patrick and his father's name was Patrick. So if you say, "Oh, Patrick Traynor," well, which Patrick is that?
Patrick Traynor?
Yeah. And not only that, but if you go back to John had a brother named James, and James had a Patrick, and I forget, Michael had a Patrick. So if you want to find out which Patrick you are, well, you're Patrick from John, or you're Patrick from James, or you're Patrick from Michael. And that's exactly why we've worked it. So I'm Patrick from Roe, which means red. This is the line that we're on, and etc. Murphy.
No, that's amazing. It really is incredible. In a very short period of time, we've taken the Trainer history, we've packaged it so that everybody kind of knows where is to go. Like the Facebook page, I forget how many people belong to it, but there's a lot.
3,800 now.
Yeah, 3,800 people
3,800, wow.
are following us on Facebook, and it really just connects us all together in kind of a deeper way. And I don't know if very many families that have done it the way the trainers have done it. And, it really is incredible. And it's growing all the time. It really is amazing. We hope to do more of these type of podcasts with different people and different families and get their stories and put them online. And they're there forever. So it's really great. We only have so much time. We got 30 minutes, and we can only do so many minutes on the YouTube. So we certainly appreciate Kevin, our historian, Ted, for gracing us with your presence. We really absolutely love it, and hopefully you'll come back and share more.
Come back. We're going to come back very often. It's just a fast 9-hour drive from our
I
house
know.
to here.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
Let's-
that's amazing.
let's around the corner.
Can I say one thing? In January, we're going to have a meet and greet, just for the island trailers, so we can let them know what's going on. And St. Patrick's Day, we're having an actual online Ceilidh. So if anybody wants to be involved with an online Ceilidh, and that's international, you might hear Ted sing.
I don't dare sing. I like to tell stories of the little people.
Yeah, and
Otherwise known as fairies in the Irish tradition. And there's a lot of wonderful stories about the little people. They're wonderful.
yeah.
Well, actually, and it's really amazing because a lot of people think that St. Patrick was indeed a giant, and that he had a whole community of fairies that traveled around Ireland with him.
Really?
Yes.
That's cool. There's a lot of things about St. Patrick. He's quite a guy and a lot of stories. In fact, he was refuting all of that in practice. But people believe things, and that's what's wonderful about things.
Yeah,
if you believe in
everybody.
it, it's good. It's right. It's there.
It's there. Who knows? You never know. The Lord of the Rings and stuff like that might have been because of St. Patrick and the Trainors. So there you go. You just never know. But we really appreciate it. Remember, the date is when?
2024, June 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 2024 for the Trainer. Paul, you'll have a link up on how to get through.
Yeah, we'll
to
have a
us.
link on the website and the international website to where you can get pre-registered. I don't think they're taking registrations yet, but I think they're pre-registering right now. They're just trying to determine what the pricing points are because, it's going to be different. Now, that being said, the cost would be for just the gathering. Flights and hotels and all of that other stuff would be on your own dime. But we do encourage, we hope, well, we're not going to hope, we know that we're going to have an amazing gathering and we're going to have a great turnout. And we're really, truly blessed with a lot of people, not only Ted, but the Knowles and some of the guys down in Ireland that are doing amazing work. We've got a really great committee with David and Santa Claus.
Mike.
And
David and Mike
and
and
Mary Leah and the rest.
Ann Purdy.
So just an incredible group of human beings, and we're certainly blessed to have a great committee here in Prince Edward Island, and working with an amazing international committee that have our back 100%. So God bless you. Thank you for watching, and thank you very much, Ted, for showing up and giving us. Hopefully, we'll have you back. And Kevin, thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you,
The,
sir.
the
Thrilled to
one-
be
the
here.
one other thing that I wanted to mention, and Ted kind of brought it up, is people in Ireland came over here and they wanted to know where the ancestors. We are part of the 2024 gathering. We're going to be going to a couple of cemeteries to let the people in Ireland, the people all over the world, know where their ancestors are. They can come, and their great-great-grandfather's brother comes to Prince Edward Island. We can show where they are. So it is our intention to go to several cemeteries, let people know where they are, so that maybe they can go back and say, my great-great-great-uncle, this is where he's buried, and I've been there.
Yeah. So
Thank you very much. And Paul, thank you very much for doing the podcast. I genuinely appreciate it. Ted,
Yeah, well,
thank you very much. I had a wonderful day with you.
We've been sitting
David,
quietly
there's
together.
David
Yeah.
Traynor over there. He is
David's
the
a
treasurer.
quiet and shy guy, and he's behind the camera, and he just wants to just wave.
Yeah,
So.
he's the treasurer of our great committee, and thank you very much, David, for operating the camera. I mean, she's way around the corner. Ted's wife.
That's my wife,
Leah.
Leslie. Yeah.
So
Leslie, right there.
So again, we'll have more and more links on the bottom, but again, please like and share, and we'll have as much details as we had on the Facebook page and on the website, and of course on the international website and the international Facebook pages, which will all be linked right down at the bottom. So definitely link, share, and
Let's get
say
the word
something
out
in
there.
Gaelic that says that you have a great New Year. You know
I
anything?
got the New Year's a tough one, but I got Nolik Shonadish. Nolik Shonadiv, which means Merry Christmas. I'm a little bit late, but the Happy New Year one's very long, and it's got many extra letters, and I haven't learned how to pronounce it yet.
We'll just stick to Merry Christmas. And God bless you all.